This is J. Krishnamurti's sixth public discussion in Saanen, 1969.
We were saying, if I remember rightly, how to get rid of, to put aside the whole menagerie that one has in oneself. We are discussing or talking over together all this because we see, at least I see, that one has to penetrate into the unknown. After all, any good mathematician or a physicist must investigate the unknown. And perhaps the artist, if he is not too carried away by his own emotions and sentiments, imagination. And we, the ordinary people with everyday problems, have also to live with deep sense of understanding. One has to also to penetrate into the unknown. And a mind that is always chasing the animals, its own dragons, the new monkeys that one has invented, these, with all their qualities and their troubles, their contradictions, which we are, cannot possibly investigate or penetrate into the unknown. And being ordinary people, not endowed with great, brilliant intellect or great visions, just living the daily monotonous, ugly little lives, we were concerned how to change immediately all that. That's what we have been considering. People can change and do change. New inventions, new pressures, new theories, new political situation, tyrannies, all those bring about a certain quality of change. But we are talking about a radical, basic revolution in one's being. And whether such revolution is to be brought about gradually or instantly. If it is to be brought about gradually, as we went into it yesterday, the whole sense of distance, time, and the effort to reach that distance, all that is involved in it. And man, we said too, has tried this for millennia, million years, and somehow he has not been able to, perhaps one or two, radically change. So, it is necessary, whether we can, each one of us, and therefore the world, because the world is us and we are the world. They are not two separate states. whether we can instantly wipe away all the travail, the angers, the hatreds, the enmities that we have created, or the enmity that one bears, the bitterness, all that be wiped away on the instant. If one is bitter, and probably that's the best fruit man can bring about, bitterness. Apparently that's one of the easiest things to have. And can that bitterness, knowing all its causes, seeing its whole structure, be wiped away on the instant? And we said that is only possible when there is observation, when the mind can watch itself without any distortion, without any contradiction, prejudice, conclusion. And when the mind can observe so intensely, then that very observation is the action which ends bitterness. And we went into also the question of what is action. Whether there is any free, spontaneous, non-volitional action, or is action based on our memory, on our ideals, on our contradictions, our hurts, our bitterness, and so on? Or is an action, or is action approximating itself always to an ideal, to a principle, to a pattern? And we say such action is not action at all, because such action creates contradiction between what should be and what is. So is it possible? And in this action also, when you have an ideal, there is the distance to be covered from what you are to what you should be. The should be may take years, or as many do believe, many lives. To incarnate over and over and over and over again till you reach that perfect, lovely utopia. And we also said this incarnation is of yesterday into today. Whether that yesterday stretch many millennia back or only 24 hours, it is still operating when there is action based on this division between the past, the present, and the future, which is what should be. All this, we said, it brings about contradiction, conflict, misery, and therefore inaction. It is not action. What is action is the very perceiving The very perception is action, which takes place when you are confronted with any danger and there is instant action. We came to I think we came to that point yesterday. And in understanding this question, there is also involved in it the moment or the instant when there is a great challenge, when there is a great crisis or a great sorrow. When there is a great crisis, great challenge, sorrow, the mind is, for an instant, extraordinarily quiet. It is sharp. I don't know if you have observed it. When you see the mountain, in the evening or in the early morning, with that extraordinary light on it, the shadows, the immensity, the majesty, the feeling of deep aloneness. When you see all that, your mind cannot take it all in. For the moment it is completely quiet, shocked. And it soon overcomes that shock and responds according to its own conditioning, to its own particular personal problems and so on. So there is an instant when the mind is completely quiet. But it cannot sustain that sense of absolute stillness. That stillness can be produced by a shock. That's one of the tricks that they play, or the schools endeavor to bring about in meditation, to give you a shocking, impossible question. How can the duck get into a small bottle? Well, or some such silly question. And you're supposed to be, because it is so impossible to answer, the brain and the whole structure of the mind becomes quiet. And then that quiet, you have some strange experience. So most of us know this sense of absolute stillness when there is a great shock. Either it can be produced outwardly by some incident, or it can be brought about artificially, inwardly, by a series of impossible questions, or by some imaginative state, imaginative formula which forces the mind to be quiet. All that is obviously rather childish, immature. So, we are saying a mind that is capable of perception, in the sense we have been talking about, and therefore that very perception is action. Such a mind, to perceive, must be completely still. Otherwise you can't see. If I want to listen to what you are saying, I must listen to it silently. Any vagrant thought, any interpretation of what you are saying, any sense of resistance to what you are saying or acceptance, prevents the actual listening. So, the mind that wants to listen, observe, see, watch, must of necessity be extraordinarily quiet. And again, that quietness cannot possibly be brought about through any sense of shock or through the absorption of a particular idea. Do you understand? When a child is absorbed in a toy, it is very quiet, it's playing. But the toy has absorbed the mind of the boy. The toy has made the child quiet. In taking a drug or in doing any of these artificial things, there is this sense of being absorbed by something greater. A picture, an image, a utopia, the worship of a state, and all the rest of that. So this still quiet mind can come about only, as we said, through the understanding of all the contradictions, perversions, conditioning, fears, distortions. And whether those distortions, fears, miseries, confusions, assumptions can all be wiped away instantly, so that the mind is quiet to observe, to penetrate. So now, that's clear, isn't it? Verbally. And can one do it actually? Can you actually look at yourself with complete quietness? If the mind is not quiet, you cannot possibly look. Or when the mind is active, in the sense of not being very, very quiet, when the mind is active, then it is distorting what it sees, translating, interpreting, saying, I like this, I don't like it, get tremendously excited, emotional bit, all that goes on. Therefore, such a mind cannot possibly see. So we are saying, can you? Ordinary human beings like us, we all are ordinary people, not endowed with extraordinary talents. I'm sorry, if anybody is endowed with extraordinary talent, he cannot perceive. One has to be aware of the dangers of gifts and talents. Can we do this? Can I look at myself, whatever I am, whatever it is, look at myself, knowing the danger of the world, like fear, bitterness, and that very word is going to prevent the actual seeing what is. So can I observe, being aware of the pitfalls of language, words, knowing also, observing also, not allowing any sense of time to interfere, which is to achieve, to get rid, and all the rest of it, just to observe so quietly, so intensely, so attentively. And in that state of intense attention, the hidden parts, the undiscovered recesses of the mind are obviously seen. In that perception there is no analysis whatsoever, only perception, because analysis implies time. And in that also there is the analyzer and the analyzed. And is the analyzer different from the thing analyzed, which is not? Therefore, there is no sense of analysis. One has to be aware of all this, or discard all this. Much better to discard all this. Time, analysis, resistance, trying to reach over, overcome and all that. Because through that door, there is no end to sorrow. Now can I, after listening to all this, for the last, how long? 40 years, or 10 years, or a month, can I actually do this? This is really quite an important question. There is no how. There is nobody to tell you what to do, give you the necessary energy. And requires great energy to observe. Because a still mind is the total energy without any wastage. Otherwise it's not still. And can one look at oneself with this total energy so completely that in this seeing is acting, and therefore the ending. Can we go on from there? We're all paralyzed.
Did not even get the animal right. It's a goose and not a duck. And is not your question equally impossible?
Is not your question equally impossible as putting a duck in a small bottle? Is this an impossible question? If it is an impossible question, then why are you all sitting here? Just to listen to a voice of a man talking about all this, listen to the stream going by, have a nice holiday among these hills and mountains and meadows. And why can't you do it? Is it so difficult? Is it a matter of having a very clever brain? Or is it that you have never in one's life actually observed oneself? And therefore you find this so impossible. And one has to do something. When the house is burning, you don't say it's impossible. I don't believe it. I can't do anything about it and sit down on the lawn and look at it burn. You do something. Something in relation to the actuality. Not something in relation to what you think should be. The actuality is the house is burning. You may not be able to put it out completely till the fire engine comes. But in the meantime, really there is no in the meantime at all. You act in relation to the fire. So when you say it's an impossible question, as difficult, as impossible as putting a poor duck in a little bottle, it shows that one is not aware that the house is burning. And from that arises, why aren't you? Why isn't one aware that the house is burning? You know, the house means the world. The world which is you, with your discontent, with all the things that are going on inside you, and the world outside you. If you are not aware of this house burning inwardly and outwardly, Why aren't you? Is it that one is not sensitive? Not brilliant, not clever, not, having read innumerable books and all the rest of that business, but not sensitive to know what is happening inside yourself? And not aware actually what's going on? If you say, sorry, I'm not, then why aren't you? You are, and you are hungry. When somebody insults you, you are very much aware or flatters you. When you want the fulfillment of some sexual desires, you are very much aware. And here you say, I'm not. So, what is one to do? To rely on somebody's stimulation, encouragement? We've been through all that. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I haven't heard a word. Would somebody who has heard it tell me repeat it, what the gentleman said? Huh? Yes, sir. Just a minute, sir. Just a minute. Don't move. Sir, don't move. This gentleman probably has got you.
There has to be a mutation. And this can be done by watching one's thoughts and desire. And it has to be done instantly. And I think he said once he has done it, or it has once been done, there has been no change.
The question is, I have once observed so closely, and in that observation there has been a certain action, but at the end of it there has been no change at all. Is that right, sir? What, sir?
If we do what you suggest, and if we do what you suggest,
If?
there should be unbiased and mutation. And should it be a permanent state, or has it to be done regularly, daily, so on?
He says, can it be done as a permanent state, or can it be done regularly, daily?
Can this be done? This perception that ends in action and the ending of it ending, can this be done once and for all, or must be done every day? What do you think?
I think it can be done after listening to music.
You pardon?
I think it can be done after listening to music.
I think it can be done after listening to music. Therefore, music is necessary as drug to end. Only music is much more respectable than the drug. Now the question is this: must one do it every day, watch every day, every minute, or can one watch it so completely one day that all the thing ends? You have understood the question? Can I go to sleep for the rest of the day or the rest of the time because once I've seen the thing completely? You understand the question? I am afraid one has to watch every day and not go to sleep. Watch. I insult you, say something very harsh about you, and you have to watch. Observe the insult. Go into it, whether there is any truth in it or it is utterly false. But you have to be aware of it. Not only insult to flattery, to anger, to despair, and all the things that are happening all around you, inside you, all the time. You can't say, well, now I am completely enlightened, nothing will touch me.
But during the time that you come to this, are you not suppressing the violent reaction that you've had when the insult came? You can't do both. And if you're thinking about what's happening...
Go slowly, please. Don't put too much into a question because I have to repeat it. So would you mind putting it very briefly?
During the moment, or the minute, or the time that it takes to get this perception and to understand what has happened, are you not then suppressing a violent reaction?
Are you not suppressing a violent reaction till you get this perception?
No. Isn't this perception simply the suppression of the reaction which would take place if you were not perceiving?
What is that, sir?
Instead of reacting, you perceive instead. The perception may just be the suppression of the reaction.
Perception may be the suppression of reaction. We went into this pretty thoroughly, didn't we? I have a reaction of dislike. I don't like you. And I watch that reaction. And if I watch it very, very attentively, it unfolds. It shows my conditioning, the culture in which I have been brought up, the desire to... it unfolds, it exposes. And in the exposition of that, if I'm still watching, not gone to sleep because it has been exposed, if the mind is watching that exposition, many, many things are revealed. There's no question of suppression at all. Because I'm interested to see what is happening. Not how to go beyond all the reactions. I'm interested to find out whether the mind can look, perceive the very structure of the me, the ego, the self, and all that. And in that, how can any form of suppression exist? Wait a minute, sir.
I sometimes feel the state of stillness, but it's ever short. Can you tell something about acting, outlet and out of yourself?
Sometimes my mind is still, and out of this stillness there is a certain kind of action. Are you asking, sir, how can this stillness be maintained, sustained, kept going? Is that it? Huh?
Yeah, and when I go on with my daily work.
Can I go on with my daily work of studying, all the rest of it, playing? Can it be done can it come out of silence? You understand the question? Can the daily activity come out of silence? No, you're all waiting for me to answer this. I have a horror to be an oracle. Because I happen to be sitting on a platform, it doesn't give me any authority of the platform. Here is a question. Can the mind that is very still act in daily life? If you separate the daily life from stillness, from the utopia, from the ideal, which is silence, then the two will never meet. Right? If I keep the two separate, divided, say this is the world, my daily living, and this is the silence which I have learned, which I have experienced, which I have felt my way into. I know what it means slightly. And how can I translate that silence into daily life? You can't. But if the two are not separate, right hand is the left hand. There must be a harmony between the two, between silence and the daily life. When there is this unity, then one will never ask, can I act out of silence? Yes, sir?
You have often spoken of intense awareness, intense looking, intense seeing. Could it not be said that the degree of intensity that one is primarily what makes it possible?
Oh, I see. One is essentially intense. And this intensity is only possible when there is that deep, basic intensity which one has. Right, sir?
The way one comes with the passion, not for its sake, but that intensity seems to be a primary requirement.
Which you have already.
Yes and no.
So why do we assume so many things? Can one not take a voyage and examine, not knowing anything? Voyage into oneself, not knowing what is good and bad, what is right and wrong, what should be, what must not be, but just Take the voyage without any burden. That's one of the most difficult things. To voyage inwardly without any sense of burden. And as you voyage, as you go in, you discover. You don't start. At the beginning you say, this must not be this, this should be, but journey. Apparently, that's one of the most difficult things to do. I don't know why. Look, sirs, there's nobody to help you, especially including the teacher, the speaker. Nobody in whom you have faith, and I hope you have no faith in anybody. And there is no authority to tell you what is and what should be. Walk in this direction, don't go in that direction. Mind the pitfalls, all marked out for you, so you just walk. There is nobody. You're walking alone. Can you do that? You say, I can't do it because I'm afraid. All right, then take that fear, go into it. Understand it completely. Forget about the journey, forget about authority and all. Examine this whole thing called fear. Fear because you have nobody to lean on. Nobody to tell you what to do. You might make a mistake. Make a mistake. And in observing the mistake, you will jump out of it instantly. So, discover as you go along. You know, in this, there is greater creativeness than in painting, writing a book, getting on the stage and making a monkey of oneself. There is greater, if I can use the word, excitement, greater, greater sense of, don't supply the word. Beg your pardon?
If the daily work is done
without the
observation and introducing the observer, it doesn't disturb the silence.
If the daily work is done without introducing the observer, then the whole circus is over. That's the whole problem. But the observer is always playing tricks. He's always casting a shadow. And thereby bringing further problems. No, madam, look, we're asking whether you and I can take a journey inwardly, not knowing a thing, and discovering as we go along. Discovering one's sexual appetites, cravings, intentions, discovery. It's a tremendous adventure, much greater than going to the moon.
Sir, this is a problem because we know where we're going. We want to discard.
Yes, sir.
We don't want to get rid of the pleasure. We want to hold on to it.
So he said, the gentleman says, going to the moon is very objective and we know where to go and all the rest of it. Here, taking a journey inwardly, we don't know where we are going. Therefore, insecurity. Therefore, fear. If you knew where you are going, you will never penetrate into the unknown. Therefore, you will never be the real person who discovers what is the eternal.
Est-ce que nous pouvons réaliser cette perception immédiate du tout sans l'aide d'un maître?
Oui. Can we realize this total perception? That's what we have been talking about for the last...
You didn't finish the other part of the question. I said that this is a problem because we know where we're going. We want to discard the pain and we want to hold on to the pleasure. We don't want to go into the unknown.
Yes, I've answered that question, haven't I? We want to hold on to the apron strings of pleasure. We want to hold on to things that we know. And with all that, we want to take a journey. Have you ever climbed a mountain? The more you're burdened, the more difficult it is. Even to go up these potty little hills, it's quite difficult if you carry a lot of burden. And if you have to climb a mountain, you have to be much more free. I really don't know what the difficulty is. We want to carry everything with us that we know. The insults, the resistances, the stupidities, the delights, the exaltations and everything that we have had. And with that we say, I'm going to take a journey. When you say, I'm going to take a journey, with all that, you are taking a journey somewhere else, not into that which you are carrying. Therefore, your journey is an imagination, is an unreality. But if you took the journey into the things into which you are carrying, then no. Not into the unknown. What you already know. Your pleasures, your delights, your despairs, your sorrows, the things I know. Take a journey into that. And that's all you have. And you say, I want to take a journey with all that into the unknown and add the unknown to that. Another delight, another pleasure. Or it may be so dangerous, you say, please, I don't want it. Is it, or sir? Is it a danger?
To feel that this silence evokes itself.
Is?
The silence evokes itself.
Evokes itself.
Generates.
Generates itself. Is there a danger Huh?
Is it dangerous to think that this silence generates itself and has nothing to do with the noise?
Haven't we answered that question, sir? Huh? Is there a danger in thinking that, I don't know, what, sir?
Is it dangerous? Is it wrong to think that this silence generates itself and has no relationship to noise?
Is it wrong? I can't answer anymore. I think it's too hot. I think c'est assez pour ce matin.